A significant critic of the ontological argument, and more specifically Descartes, is Immanuel Kant. Kant believed in God himself, but rejected this argument for God's existence. He did not feel that it was possible to prove the existence of God a priori or a posteriori. Kant attacks this argument from three different angles. We will look at each in turn. He firstly rejects Descartes' paradox, given through his triangle analogy, that it is illogical to reject the predicate of three angles of a triangle, and equally paradoxical to reject the predicate of existence in God. He goes on to reject the whole idea of existence as a predicate. And thirdly, rejects God exists as an analytic statement. Firstly then, rejection of the paradox. Kant agreed that it is true that if there is a triangle, it must have three angles or three sides. This is true by definition of the word. It would be paradoxical to reject a triangle on that basis. Equally, if there is a God, it is true that he must exist. However, if you go on and reject the whole idea or concept of triangle, then you can reject the definition at the same time with no paradox at all. We can do the same with God. By rejecting the subject as well as the predicate, we can deny the existence of God without any logical contradiction. Kant goes on, though, to challenge the whole idea of existence as a predicate, which is so vital to Anselm and Descartes' arguments. Here Kant recognises that a predicate gives us information about an object. For instance, Ingrid is tall tells us something about what Ingrid is like. Ingrid exists tells us nothing about her. If I were to tell you a flue-flab exists, for example, you would know nothing about a flue-flab at all, and would be utterly unable to look for one. If you were told that a flue-flab is pink, you would know something about one, and might have a chance of choosing it from a range of objects. Kant gives a slightly less bonkers example. This is the kind of example you should use in your essay. He uses the example of 100 gold coins. He points out that these coins, when they exist in intellectu, contain the exact same predicates when they exist in re. The concept doesn't change in any way, regardless of where they exist. Thus, existence cannot be a predicate, otherwise the concept would be different when it has a reality. To build on this further, Kant says that if we treat existence as a predicate, we are left with a paradox. If I say that the flue-flab exists and that existence is a predicate, then I say the flue-flab possesses the quality of existence. If I say that it does not exist, I can say that it lacks the quality of existence. This is problematic, as clearly a thing must exist in order to do any lacking. A flue-flab can only lack a quality if it exists in order to lack it. Therefore, existence cannot be a predicate, it must be something else. This is important because the ontological argument so far rests upon the assumption that existence is a predicate, that God as a perfect being with all perfections must possess. Thirdly, rejection of God exists as an analytic statement. Kant finally rejects the assessment of God exists as an analytic statement. He claims that in fact statements about existence must be synthetic. Existence is not true by definition. Other means have to be employed in order to establish existence as a fact. Aquinas and Hume also make this same point.